Hi everyone. So welcome to Happy Hound. It's not every day that we get to have an event in a doggy daycare center, so I'm pretty excited to be here. I have to say, I grew up with a dog, and we never had doggy daycare where I grew up in Pennsylvania, so I'm sure this is a wonderful service for all of your customers. So I'm going to talk a little bit about some new news that we have at Google before handing it over to Suzanne and to David, who will explain a little bit about doggy daycare and a little bit about what's going on at Happy Hound. For the first time, Google is announcing the economic impact that we have in the state of California and in 49 other states. So when we look at our business, people think about Google as a search engine. The reality is Google is an engine of economic growth for small business. We've really built our business supporting small businesses like the Happy Hound. We have about 260,000 advertisers and publishers that we work with in the state of California. And we estimate that we generate about $14.1 billion worth of economic activity, of revenue, for those advertisers and publishers. So that's $14.1 billion worth of activity in the state of California alone. Now let me give you a sense as to how we do that. You're all familiar with how Google Search works as a consumer. When you are looking for, let's say, doggy daycare in Oakland, you type that into the search box. What you might not be as familiar with is, let's see if this works. Does this work? All right, I'll just point over here. If you were to type doggy daycare into Google today, you would see a set of results on the left side, which are the Google algorithmic results. These are unbiased, what we call natural search results. And you can see the Happy Hound and Daycare Center is represented there on the map that we have right here, as well as in our algorithmic search results down here. Okay.
Hello?
So those are unpaid natural search listings, and every time a consumer were to click on either of these links, they would go off to the Happy Hound's website where they could express an indication of interest, find a phone number, and register for doggy daycare services. But in addition, we have our sponsored links, our paid advertising, which is how Google makes money, and also how the Happy Hound can control exactly what message they want to give to consumers. So every day we have millions of people searching on Google. Believe it or not, there are hundreds of thousands of searches for pet care every day in the United States, and some people, in the Oakland area may be typing in doggy daycare, and they will find the Happy Hound that way. So through these links, we drive traffic and people to the Happy Hound site, and that's how ultimately Suzanne and the Happy Hound can generate business, and she's going to talk a little bit about that. In addition, Google provides its advertising to publishers who can share in the revenue from Google advertising. So through a program that we call AdSense, we share advertising revenue that might be on the pages of a blog or the pages of a news site. And then finally, we have a program called Google Grants that has supported over 1,000 nonprofits in the state of California over the last year, where we donate advertising, free advertising, to nonprofits that help them raise money as well as raise awareness for their cause. And we estimate the value of that free advertising is something on the order of $24 million. So when we add the economic impact from the traffic that we're driving to our advertiser sites and from the revenue that comes from that traffic for the likes of the Happy Hound, we come up with a number of about $14.1 billion in economic activity in the state of California. And that doesn't include all of the free applications that we might offer. That number doesn't include the impact of the 9,000 or so employees in the state of California. So that's what we wanted to talk about today. Let me hand it over to Suzanne, who's going to talk about a little bit more about her experience at the Happy Hound and how she's worked with Google to build her business over the last 6 years. Thanks.
All right, thank you all for coming today. When I started Happy Hound 6.5 years ago, I walked into my warehouse and it was empty. And I realized that I needed to do something to get the dogs in. So on my computer, I found Google AdWords. And I'm by no means a techie person whatsoever, but Google AdWords was easy enough to walk me through to write a campaign to start advertising my business. Within 12 months of advertising, I did need to expand my business because I had more dogs requesting entrance into Happy Hound than I had space. Within 2 years, I had a waiting list for doggies wanting to get into Happy Hound. On an average, I assess or talk to 5 to 15 new clients every week wanting services from Happy Hound. Of all those clients coming in, I do ask them how have they heard about Happy Hound. And on an average, about 70% of them say that they've heard of Happy Hound through Google and Google AdWords. My business primarily was built on doggy daycare and boarding. What doggy daycare is when dogs come in for the day, spend the day with us, and go home at the end of the day. Boarding, they check in for boarding, be it one night or weeks on end. So last year, I realized that I wanted to expand my business and expand my revenue with Happy Hound. So I started thinking of ways in which to do that. I decided to roll out what's called Board and Train. What Board and Train is doggies that come in anywhere between 4 days and 2 to 3 weeks for basic training etiquette as well as rehabilitation. So when I decided to do this in February of this year, I again was in a dilemma of how was I going to market this business, this additional business. So I went on Google AdWords and I put together a marketing campaign for my Board and Train. Present day, as of now, we are at capacity with our Board and Train dogs. So I'm very excited about that. With all that being said, my employee consistency has stayed the same, meaning I have not had to do any cutbacks during this economic challenging time because my client base has stayed consistent. Not only that, but I've added employees because of the additional demand with our Board and Train. When I opened Happy Hound, one of the things I've always envisioned was to add a second and third Happy Hound. That is now starting to take place, and as of next year, 2011, Happy Hound will be expanding and we will have a Happy Hound number 2. And I can say this with confidence, and I feel very good about this, that AdWords, Google AdWords, will help me fill Happy Hound number 2 just like it did Happy Hound Oakland. So I want to thank Google for giving me this opportunity and for having us participate in today's event, and all of you guys for coming today as well. So thank you.
So thank you. Now we're going to hear from David Crane, advisor to the governor on economic matters.
Thank you, Dennis, and congratulations, Suzanne. Well, today is a dream come true, actually, for me and the governor. I can't tell you that not a day goes by where the governor and I don't discuss how little Californians know about what businesses in California do and the impact of those businesses on California's jobs, economic growth, and state budget. We have 3.5 million businesses in California, 16 million employees, a $1.8 trillion gross domestic product, and 60% of our budget revenues come from corporate and personal income taxes. And yet very few people know that all these businesses are the ones that are responsible for generating that wealth. So here's Google, which is a grand total of 12 years old, producing $14 billion worth of economic value for the state of California this year, contributing mightily to California's budget revenues, both personal income taxes and corporate income taxes, and people don't know it. And people also don't recognize that small businesses are what drives most of the employment growth in California. So businesses like Happy Hound employ Californians, and millions of other businesses like Happy Hounds employ Californians, and they're desperately needed for economic growth, job growth, and budget revenue. So I'd love to attend one of these announcements every day. And I hope Californians gain a better understanding of how critical it is that these businesses flourish and that they exist in an environment, a petri dish, if you will, that allows them to grow as fast as they've grown and as successfully as they've grown. So congratulations, and thank you for having me here today.
Thank you, David. I think now we'll move to question and answers and take any questions from folks in the audience. Yeah. Do you want them to use the mic? Maybe you could speak into the mic because they're recording this. And would you guys like to join me? Yeah.
James Temple with the San Francisco Chronicle. Not to play the cynical journalist, but is it fair to say that Google is generating 14 billion of economic activity, or is it merely facilitating the economic activity? I mean, presumably, even if Google wasn't around, customers would be finding businesses through other means, through Yahoo, through the Yellow Pages, etc. So I'm just curious about your thoughts on that.
So I guess my view, and I'll ask Suzanne to comment as well. If you think about the internet, before the internet, it was very difficult for a small business to attract an audience or to find a set of customers from scratch. So if you were starting a new business, typically you would rely on word of mouth. It could take a lot longer to build up a reasonable base of business. But now we're seeing in California, a lot of these 260,000 advertisers and publishers are newer businesses that were started in the last decade or so, and they've based their success largely on the internet, and as Suzanne was saying, on Google. So I think it is fair to say that Google really has driven the 14.1 billion in economic activity. So the question was what? Yeah, the question was what was the impetus? So I think from our standpoint, as David was saying, a lot of people don't understand. First of all, they think of Google as a search engine, and they don't understand how it participates in the economy. Many small businesses do, but as David was saying, there's 3 million small businesses in California, 263,000 of which participate in some way with Google. So I think we're trying to do two things. One is get the word out that small business can drive economic value through Google and through the internet, and also to highlight the value that we are contributing to the state of California, which we think is important, especially given the current economic conditions.
Hi, Greg Sterling, Search Engine Land. Two questions for Suzanne. Do you do any other kinds of advertising today, and have you in the past? That's sort of one question. The second question is, are you paying anybody to manage your AdWords program for you today?
I am doing additional advertising. And what that consists of is I go out to vet offices, pet stores with my brochures. So we're doing the old-fashioned, if you will, kind of advertising. When I first started, I did do a variety of other types of advertising in magazines, pet-related magazines, what have you. It was expensive, and I really didn't get any value out of it. So I did kind of focus in on Google AdWords because it got me the best bang for the buck, so to speak. And I'm sorry, your second question?
Your AdWords account.
Okay, when I first started with Google AdWords, I was doing all of my own managing of the account. When I rolled out my board and train, because I am busy and I am assessing a lot of clients, I did hire an advertising agency to manage my Google AdWords.
Hi, Tom Krazit with CNET. I just did all the searches for like doggy daycare with IE, doggy with a Y, dog daycare, and board and train, and I don't see your ad. So I'm wondering, which terms are you advertising on currently? I mean, you guys rank high in the listing, the generic or organic listing it's called, sorry. But I don't see your ad anywhere.
You want me to address that?
Sure.
Okay, I have a set budget that I'm working with, and that budget directly impacts how often my ad shows. I can't take any more than 15 new client assessments a week, and I have been filling up for weeks, for not only this week, but the following week. So I do limit the amount of money I spend because of the impact that the ads have. So my guess would be that's probably why it's not coming up on this search that you just did.
Is that by month or
It
week?
is by
or
month.
By month?
Yeah.
But I think that speaks to the flexibility of the internet as an advertising medium. In traditional advertising, you would be committed for a period of time, and if you were if you have filled all of your slots for new dogs, you would have already paid for the advertisement. Whereas with internet advertising, you can control the spend, and choose to ramp your budget up or down depending on demand.
If you could just explain how that works. When you say a month, do you buy, I don't know, five ads a month that'll pop? I mean, how does that work? Explain
As
it.
I recall, it was.
Somebody said it was an auction.
Yeah,
I don't really understand
maybe
that
I can just
works.
Yeah,
explain it.
yeah.
So again, this is another reason we're doing this. A lot of people don't understand how Google makes its money. If you look over here at the right-hand side, these are paid advertisements under the sponsored links. So in this case, Happy Hound had bought the term Doggy Daycare Oakland, and they paid. There's no list price for that advertisement. They pay what they are willing to pay for that placement. So it could be 25 cents or 50 cents for that advertisement. Now they only pay when someone clicks on the ad. So so if I did not click on that advertisement on that page there, then Happy Hound would pay nothing. Once the consumer clicks on the ad, you pay. So the way you control how much you pay is you set a budget, which can be a daily budget as well as a monthly budget. Let's say that you only want to spend $20 a day or $200,000 a day. You can set that budget with Google, and we will not show the ad once you've reached that budget. So.
Keeping you busy. How many employees do you have here?
I have 33 employees.
Okay. And that's, have you grown very quickly? Have you been, because you mentioned you hadn't cut anybody during the last couple of years, but I wasn't sure if that meant you stayed flat or.
You know, we did take a little bit of a hit when the economy took a major dive, but I didn't have to lay anybody off. So I'd say we stayed pretty steady, but that's one of the reasons why I wanted to roll out the additional board and train division. And with that, that brought in more dogs and also had me hire more people because of the demand with the board and train.
So one of the obstacles for small businesses in adopting AdWords is the perception of complexity, and that's something Google has long sought to overcome. What would you? Why were you? What motivated you to play with it and set up AdWords initially? Because a lot of small businesses in your position don't do that. They're busy, they're intimidated, whatever it is.
My background is sales and marketing, and so I understood a few things. Number one, when I walked in, it's a 10,000 square foot warehouse. I had no dogs, and so I knew I needed to do something. And I am a true proponent in spending money to make money. And Google AdWords was just an obvious thing to do because of the popularity of the internet. And it allowed me, in fact, when I initially rolled out Google AdWords, I was pulling in clients as far away as Sacramento and San Jose. So I needed to target in on my geographic area just to be more focused in. So I never had the technology fear, if you will, on investing in advertising. And again, it was really easy. When I found it on the internet and I started exploring Google AdWords as an option, it was very easy for me to get in there and set up an ad and post it and figure out what my budget was going to be. So it was a very easy process for me.
Has been, and can you tell us what your budget is, or what it has been, and what it's changed to?
Sure. Initially, I spent thousands of dollars a month to ramp up my business. And I would say, was it a moneymaker right away? Not necessarily, but it did pay for itself. I'd say within the year, it was a very positive return on investment for me. Currently, I'm spending $400 a month on Google AdWords, and the return on investment with not only new clients for daycare and boarding, but my board and train is absolutely phenomenal. It's just amazing. So the $400 a month versus what's coming in on revenue is an easy option for my small business.
So do you see any need to, or not need, but do you see any, you've established your reputation, your brand, so to speak. Are you going to pull down AdWords at any point, or are you going to continue with AdWords, given that you've got a high organic ranking and good reviews and all of that? What's the relationship in your mind of the two?
I intend to continue with AdWords only because now we're going to be building out a second Happy Hound. So I want to, as many clients as I can to get the word out about Happy Hound. It's just going to benefit Happy Hound too. So I intend to keep using it at this point.
What's the difference in the clicks to your site and the conversions that you get off of that for your organic result versus your ad?
Do you know the answer to that question?
So are you asking her specifically about her business, or?
Yeah, just with you specifically. Like how much more do you see? How much traffic do you see coming in through the regular search result, and then the economic activity that takes place off of that, as opposed to because you can track this, right? You can see who's coming from the regular search result and who's coming from the ad. So I was wondering how that broke down.
Yeah, that's in Google Analytics, correct?
Yeah. So you could see that in Google Analytics in general, and this is data that's in the publication. For every click on an advertisement, we tend to see about 5 clicks that are coming through the unpaid organic listings. So that gives you some sense as to what the source of leads could be for a small business, but that's a very general figure.
Does that ratio apply to you?
I would assume so. I could run a report to pull that information if you were interested in seeing that.
Do you pay attention to Google Analytics? Are you tracking all this stuff? I mean, you said, interestingly, that you asked people where they came from, which is a common tactic to see the effectiveness of advertising. Did you early on look at your analytics or your data and analyze that and factor that into your, iterating your ad copy and so on? And do you, that's part A. Part B is, do you pay any attention to that now that you have an agency?
Yeah, I did a lot in the beginning, again, because I was building my business. So what I was getting from the money I was spending was really an important part of managing a new small business, if you will. At some point, I got so busy that truly all I was doing was managing not only my staff, the dogs, but the new clients coming through the door. Now I have my advertising agency managing that for me. So they're sending reports in as to the analytic part of it, if you will. Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, again, I just wanted to thank everybody for coming, and thanks for your questions. Thank you, David. Thank you, Suzanne. And I think we have time now just get some food, maybe hang out with the dogs. So thanks again.